What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by the Real Estate Cheat Code. I have Heather Stasel with us from the Stasel group at Howard Hanna. Heather, thanks so much for jumping on here with us today and just, really sharing your real estate journey.
Yeah, thank you.
We were kind of chatting a little bit before we jumped on, and the point of this is to really just show other agents getting into the industry, or maybe agents that are just struggling right now, that we all typically come from different walks of life, different career paths. Usually real estate's not the first career choice of a real estate agent. And I believe that for us to positively impact the failure rate of our industry, which is my mission, is to continue to share story of successful agents that are out there building their business, because I believe you can build your business any way that you want. There's not one right way. There's not, I guess there could be technically wrong ways, right? But there's not one way to do it. And I just think about when I got into the business, right? It was, you got to be listing heavy. And obviously that's a conversation right now that, with what's going on in our industry, or you got to be, calling expireds and FSBOs and cancels, or you got to be working your sphere of influence, or you got to be networking. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you to learn a little bit more about you and how you thought about building your business. But before we get there, we always start about the very, very, very beginning. What was life like for you growing up? Where did you grow up? Any hobbies, interests, or anything that you focused on as a kid?
Yeah, so I grew up in Newark, Ohio. I have always lived in Newark up until last year. We just moved to Glenford out in Perry County, so on 8 acres. So it's a big change for me. I've always been in the center of Newark. Growing up, my grandparents had an Italian restaurant, so my family was always cooks. My mom was a cook up until she passed, my grandfather, my grandmother. And I have a younger brother. We went to Newark High School, graduated from there. Growing up, we lived out in the north end of Newark, and there wasn't a lot out there at the time, so we were in the middle of the woods. So we had a lot of imagination time growing up.
I got to ask
I played volleyball and just some fun stuff.
What was the best Italian dish?
Like columbushoulis or cisettis. What it is, it's meat. You cube the meat, you put breadcrumbs on it, you wrap it in, this sounds strange, but a hard-boiled egg, and then you tie it and with a string, cook it in sauce, and it's the best. We call them cisettis. So yeah,
I've never had that. My grandma always
I'll have to make it for you sometime.
Yeah, no, I mean, my grandfather's Italian, and so I grew up with a lot of Italian food. I'm a sucker for Italian food. One of my all-time favorite dishes is cavatelli that my grandma made. So that's awesome. What now, did you just kind of fall into working at the restaurants and stuff growing up, or did you kind of go?
I did not. Actually, I had a passion for the medical field. So when I graduated, I went to Capital University, which is in Bexley. I did clinical research for 26 years, studied and performed breast cancer, lung cancer, different hematology studies. I worked for a group of doctors. They were out of Columbus. We had an office in Newark, and I helped write the cancer protocols and conduct them, and I treated the patients. So I did that until the doctors retired. So yeah.
Wow.
And I needed to do a change. I didn't know anything else.
Yeah, I'm curious, what had you go into the medical field? Was there an influence in your life, or was it just something that you picked up through school that's kind of the area you want to go?
Yeah, as a child, I had rheumatic fever, and it was pretty devastating. It did affect my heart and joints, but I'm okay now as an adult. My brother has been a type 1 diabetic since he was 3 years old. So I was always around doctors for both of us. My mom was diagnosed with endometrial cancer when I was 24. I had 2 babies, and she passed away. And so she was 45 years old. So at that time, I was a stay-at-home mom. I took a break from working for about 6 months, and I just had to go back. So I went into oncology.
Mm,
And that's what
yeah.
started it.
What is there anything that you think about as far as what you learned, during your career there that has impacted your real estate business?
Yes. So this is a different way of helping people. Um, usually it's more positive than negative like it used to be.
Yeah.
But, when someone has cancer, the whole family's involved. So you really grow compassion for everybody in the family and you go through the journey with them. I would say to anybody, never say would have, should have, could have. If it's in your mind or if it's a thought, do it. Do it.
Yeah.
If it's a whisper in your heart, take it and do it. There's a lot of people that say, "I wish I would have, could have, and should have." So,
Yeah. I think too, I mean, you're used to even having the hard conversations,
mhm.
and it probably makes the real estate conversations a lot easier. Um,
Sometimes.
especially like the way I always teach agents and the way that I was taught getting into the business is, I have to think of myself as in the same alignment as a doctor or an attorney when it comes
Yes.
to the authority figure, right? Like as
Yes.
an agent, how do I position myself? Not to say like, oh, our clients have to follow all of our rules, right? But mentally believe that we are the go-to person when it comes to real estate and that they will listen to
Yes.
our advice. And so when you get to that point, sometimes, and I have conversations with agents all the time about this, we can't help everyone. One of the problems
No.
that we're struggling with here in Columbus right now is affordability. Is Columbus a quote unquote affordable anymore? And as agents, it's our job to figure out, right, who can we truly serve, who can truly buy and sell right now, and who are the people that we need to have the hard conversations of. It's not never. It's just not right now. And like if you want to
Right.
buy a house, here's kind of what that game plan is like. So for you, like how have you handled those conversations with clients about our current market?
Well, it's a tricky one. Right now, most of the clients I have to sell. They're either relocating, divorces, deaths. Um, but we have a big impact here in Licking County and as well as Columbus with Intel, and a
Mhm.
lot of people are afraid. And unfortunately, that fear has impacted the real estate here in our area. And we have also outpriced our own families. So what we're
Yeah.
seeing is here, um, our young generations that are ready to purchase homes really can't afford it. When I first started 10 years ago, you could buy an $80,000 house and it could be move-in ready. And now it has to be over 250 to even be, you know, habitable, really. And it's a hard conversation, but if you do it in a gentle way, you get your point across to where they understand. Don't ever argue or disagree. Kind of agree to and correct
Yeah.
or revert the situation when you're having a difficult
Yeah.
conversation. So,
So let's dive into the real estate side of things. You
yeah.
mentioned you were in your previous career for I think you said for 26 years. The doctors ended up kind of shutting down their operation, retiring, doing all of that stuff, and it kind of left
Mhm.
you in this spot, right?
Yep.
Um, what made you get into real estate? Like why real estate for you?
Well, my stepfather, he was a realtor for a very short time in the early mid 80s for his father. He was a broker here in Newark, and he was a Century 21 broker. And I just always thought that was interesting. It was something to help people. I saw how he helped people, and it was just something. I'm like, okay, either want to be a nurse, a realtor, or a hairstylist. And so yeah, so I've done 2 of the 3 now, or yeah, 2 out of 3, but when the research department shut down in our office, I was able to take real estate, so you have, like, your broker and your doctor, your nurse, your agent,
Yeah.
your protocol, um, the transaction consent and contract, FDA, title company, so everything mirrored for me, so it was easy it was easy for me to transition that and understand time is of the essence and you have to follow the contract. And so it was just learning the lingo,
Yeah.
the language. That's what was rough at
Well,
first.
you know what you just broke down there was systems and processes, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
many agents do not operate with systems or processes. You know, they literally wake
I
up every
did
day
not
and start
early
shooting at
on.
the wall.
I did
Well,
not early on.
was that I'm curious, was that because you did not know, or was it because you wanted complete freedom and flexibility finally to be able to do what you wanted?
I learned quickly that there's not a lot of freedom and flexibility when you're starting if you really want to make it go. But it was that I didn't know. My
Yeah.
broker at the time saw something in me and, uh, connected me with a mentor. So I, mentored with her for several years, and everyone needs a mentor when they're starting out. I mentor 4 other agents outside of my team, and you need that,
Yeah.
to guide you. And I did not know until she, said you have to have this, you have to do this, and this is that step. And it really made things fall in place. Plus, I had to break down, bite the bullet, and get an assistant who I still have. And she's amazing. So yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you, when you decided to kind of jump into real estate, did you have supporters, doubters? Where did people fall? Because obviously, look, it's a big, you're in one industry for so long, right? And now you're going into this other industry that's sales based. You
Hmm.
mentioned, 10 years ago. So I'm guessing you got in 2014 ish, somewhere around there.
Yes,
You know,
24 April 2014. Yeah.
so things were picking up, right? We were gaining the momentum to what we see today, but you're still going into a 100% commission based industry after a long
Hmm.
career in the medical space. Where
Yep.
did people think you were crazy? What was your inner circle like?
Yes. Yes. So my family always has supported me. Um, and I'm never afraid to take a challenge or to try something new because I believe in my heart. If it's in your heart and you're thinking about it, why not try it? I mean, and if you fail, just pick up and try something else. So I've always had that mentality. Um, and I think it's, from childhood, a lot of negative things from my step parent that was put in my head. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to overcome all this. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Mhm.
And so I lost track of what I was saying just now, but what were we
Just
saying?
just supporters and
Oh,
doubters.
so the doubters was interesting. It was older agents that no longer were agents, and
Hmm.
they were kind of like, "Why are you doing this? You'll never make it. This is a hard industry to get into. It's a hard career to get into." And at the time, it kind of was, but you have to be present. If you're not present, you won't make it. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think real estate it's simple but hard, right?
mhm.
Like at
Oh,
the end,
absolutely.
the simplicity of our business is how many people did you talk to today about real estate, right?
Yep.
And that's the biggest challenge that agents have to solve for is
Yes.
finding the people, right? Finding the
Yes.
individuals. And that's why I love having, successful agents like yourself on here because I believe you can do that any way possible.
Yes, you
Um,
can.
I always joke that my mentor, my team lead, we would always say you could go and sell and make a great living if you just went to the bar every day and talked to people about real estate.
Absolutely. It's true.
And people,
That's probably
people,
true.
but people are like, like the bar, like you're going to be drinking, but the
Mhm.
idea is right. There's a lot of people that go in there to that establishment, or you could not say the bar, you could say a coffee shop, you could say the library, you could say whatever other spot you wanted to go to.
Yeah.
But it is the simplistic is that, right? How many people can I speak with today about real estate? The challenge, I think, is what you kind of mentioned was you don't necessarily have this sense of fear when it comes to failure, where a lot of people, because sales is not typically our background, we
Right.
have this fear of rejection. And so that's what holds a lot of us back. And my belief is that a lot of times agents are taught or trained to do real estate a certain way.
Yes.
FISBOs, go do open houses, right? Go work your sphere of influence. And that doesn't work for everyone.
No, you
Uh,
have to find your own niche or it's not gonna work. I found mine probably halfway into the career. So, you gotta
yeah.
try it all and find your
Yeah.
niche, which one you like best.
When you got into real estate, obviously, it sounds like you started a little bit solo and then your broker, connected you with a
Mhm.
mentor. How soon in your career was that? And then what did you focus on in order to start growing your business back in 2014?
So, I don't like to be noticed. This is rough. Like, it's not rough talking to you, but when I
Yeah.
watch it back, I know it's gonna be rough on me. Um, so I had a fear of having my picture on my card and handing it to people and telling people what I do. So what I did and what she suggested, because I do talk to people, it's easy for me to talk to people and to get to know people. Um, I joined our local board, Licking County Board of Realtors, and got to know other agents and affiliates. You have to befriend other agents because they're who you're going to work with, and you both have to get to the same goal, the same finish line, and cooperating is very important. So getting to know your affiliates and your agents. So I joined the board. I am the vice president this year, and I am the chair of the RPAC, which is the Realtor Political Action Party. And I do big fundraisers and things. So I'm also at that level. I'm also on the board for RPAC at Ohio Realtor level now
Mm,
this year.
nice.
um, I also would recommend that agents connect with their local chambers and go to, ours is very active in Licking County. Come to Licking County and join, if you have to. But, you get to know people. Know, like, and trust is the biggest thing. I'm on several boards. If I'm very passionate about my faith and church. I talk to people there, and it's just being kind, not nice. Kindness is true from the heart. Niceness, it shows if you're really trying. So,
Let me
yeah.
ask you this because I was not active in the boards. I didn't really
Mhm.
care early on in my career. I early on in my career did not care to collaborate with other agents in the sense of networking, kind of like you explained, right? Getting to know one
Mhm.
another, right? Becoming friends, all of those
Yes.
things. I was very focused on my own business and then our team that we were and our team agents. And I was just very, narrow and didn't really
Mhm.
care. Can you explain or give a story or something that shows that doing it that way truly did help you move faster within your business?
Yeah. So, getting to know the affiliates, I was also in a networking group.
Mm,
So the Am Spirit Networking, and that helps also when you're starting out. It's one person per professional category. So I got to know an attorney. I got to know the attorneys at our local board level. I introduced myself to attorneys, and so now I do a lot of divorces and estates, um, foreclosures. So I get a lot of referrals from attorneys, and just putting yourself out there, and just being present, and you try everything. Like I said, I'm losing track, but um it's a benefit, because if you start talking to people, they're going to trust you and they're going to start referring to you.
yeah,
And a lot of my business is repeat and referrals from these other affiliates is what I say. But I have inspectors that refer their clients to me, or who, if they're doing something for someone, they'll refer them to me. I have lenders that refer to me. So most of my business is all referral based or repeat.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
I talk
So.
to agents about this a lot. There's a training that I was always taught in my career, and I still go back to it from time to time, but it's around strategic alliances, basically what you just mentioned, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
really having these relationships with, various affiliates. And a lot of times I think as agents, we only think about lender, title, right? Home warranty, home
Mm-hmm.
inspector. But I know there's not many agents doing business with attorneys that I
Yeah.
know, right, on a consistent basis. Or, you mentioned even your home inspector, or even think about, the roofing company you partner with, the HVAC company you
Yes.
partner with, the handyman. Like, are we doing a
Our
good enough
HVAC,
job?
I'm selling his parents' house, the house he grew up in.
So
So
let me ask you this, right? How do you ask, or maybe you don't ask, but how do you get that business?
I don't ask anymore, but early on, if it's important to make phone calls. I did Floyd Wickman training 3 times. I still am involved, still wiki. He'll be in Columbus the 22nd, so they'll be doing some training then. But make the phone calls, make them to your friends first. Start with your friends, have a casual conversation, just hey, catch up, and ask them if you're, especially if you're new in the business, and it really doesn't matter at what point. So just ask them. Your friends are going to help you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you help me with my real estate business? And they're going to tell you yes. And if you ask them, who do you know who do you know who would maybe be interested in buying or selling real estate? And they're going to say, I don't know, or, I can't think of anyone. And then if you ask specific places where they hang out, what about work or the gym or the school? And then you got to plant that seed, because if they can't think of anyone, put on your calendar and say, is it okay if I call you in 3 months and ask you the same questions? They're going to say yes, whether they want to or not. And, just in the meantime, do you mind thinking of me if anything comes up? You planted that seed in their head. They're going to call you. They trust you, and you put yourself out there. And because you asked that question and you had them make that promise, they're going to think of you first.
Yeah.
You, yeah, that's a big thing. And with the attorneys, I did ask for the business at first, and now I don't have to, which has led me into a new career in the last 2 months. I'm now an auctioneer.
Okay.
So I can cooperate with other realtors by auctioning their listings. So if you have a listing that's not moving or it's distressed, let's take it to auction. If they have a lot of belongings, if they have personal property, we can do on site. My husband and I are both, he's a realtor on my team, and he's also an auctioneer now. We did this together. And we have a storefront in downtown Newark, so we're going to have some personal property there and consignment for our clients. And it's really going to be really cool. I'm excited to get it started because people will be able to come in and see the product and bid online
Yeah.
if they want to see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we cooperate with agents, and you get part of, auctions are a great idea. They really, really help your sellers if they're in a pinch.
Especially,
Or
yeah,
I
especially like,
dropped my earbud.
the people that are downsizing, right? And,
Yes.
looking to kind of declutter and do those things. And I was smiling because, the one thing that I've been really talking about a lot lately is the GoFundMe effect, right? Friends want to help friends
Yes.
win. And you mentioned that, right? Friends want
Mhm.
to help friends win. That's the GoFundMe, right? It's hey, this individual needs help, and it's your friends and friends of friends and so forth helping this
Yes.
one person. It's the same thing with us in real estate. It's you got to stay top of mind. You mentioned some key words, right? Plant the seed, right? Ask for permission, setting the
Mhm.
expectation that, hey, I'm going to call you again in the future. And so that way your friend or the person that you're, talking to, maybe they're like, man, I really don't want Heather to ask me this again in 3 months. Let me go find someone to send her, and so,
Exactly.
we play on, psychology and all of those things, but it truly is, I want to help Heather win, right? Like I want to help her, in real estate. And if I have a friend that needs real estate advice, you need to call my person, right? And that's the
Mhm.
idea. So, Heather, when
Yes.
did you decide that it was time to, you got a team now, a group? When was it,
Yeah.
in your career that you decided that was kind of the next step? Walk me through your real estate career up to.
So my career started in 14. I got licensed in April 14, and I was on a team. And it wasn't I was doing better than I thought I would. So I decided at my anniversary to go on my own. I was an independent agent. 29 I got my mentor in 16. I avoided her for 3 months before I ever talked to her. I kept avoiding her. I did not want to do it. I did, and she asked me to make 10 phone calls. I made 6 and had 3 referrals just by doing what I said.
Yeah.
So that was huge. 2019, I really exploded because I was in that networking group and I was on boards, and I closed out 83 transactions that year on my own, and it was rough. I mean, I had 20 listings at a time, no help. So that's when she talked me into hiring an assistant, so I did. And this assistant I'm an organized mess, you could say. So the first time she cleaned my desk up, I was like, because I know where everything is. And, so she knows not to touch anything, to ask, because I can tell her exactly where in the pile or which pile everything's at. That's my system. I hate to admit that, but yeah, so it was November of 19 that I decided to start a team. And so now I have a team. There's 7 of us. We've had other agents that, didn't work out. That's okay. It's not for everybody. And I think anybody can do it, but it's not for everybody, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I had to have a team. Well, first my husband got licensed to help me show houses because I was gone all the time. So that's what started that. And then I grew a team after that. So.
Well, and I want to touch base because there's not many individual agents out there doing, I mean, even north of, 40, 50 transactions, a lot of agents start to max out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, when you get above that, you better be listing side, not heavy, but your business better be more 50-50, 60-40 listing side based.
Correct.
I'm curious for you, what did you have time blocking in schedule, or were you just kind of running around, with your hair on fire and figuring it out?
So if you have a significant other or children, you must block out personal and date time. So in the Wickman course, they give you a calendar. On this day, these 2 days, I'm going to make an hour and a half of phone calls. Anything that's money making, make it in green. That's what you're going to make of money. Whether, you're prospecting, you're at a closing, a listing, a showing, that's green. If you're at an event where you're working with your affiliates, let's say a networking group or, a CE class, that's yellow. That's like, hey, I'm working on my business. It's not really making money, but it's going to get me there. And then pink is my favorite color. So pink is personal time. And my son was a senior, youngest was a senior when I got into the field, senior in high school, and he played football and ran track. So every Friday and Saturday at certain times, it was pink. And you have to follow that, because if you don't, you will get burned out.
Yeah.
Vacation plan, I always tell my team, beginning, we at the end of the year, beginning of the year, we do planning and do your LFTs. You're looking forward to. You have to have that. Put your vacations in, your time off, and find another agent to help you ahead of time, so you're not scrambling at the last minute, because I'm sure you've said it too. If you want business, go on vacation, because that seems to be when everybody comes out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, it's so important. And again, when I talk to agents, right, it's like most people get in, they want more money, they want more freedom, they want more flexibility.
yes.
To me, though, it's what's the lifestyle that you want to live? Because, 83 transactions, it doesn't matter the number, 50, 40, 83, 100, whatever.
Yeah.
That's great, right? You make great money, but you're also
It
kind of
wasn't
working around the clock, so
it. Yeah. and it wasn't about the money. It was about helping people. So in
Yeah.
the beginning, I was helping a lot of first-time home buyers and a lot of investors when investments weren't moving quickly. So I had very low price houses. I mean, I now have my biggest listing and contract. Licking County, there isn't a lot unless you're in Granville, New Albany area.
Yeah.
Um, my average list price was very low, but when you do that and you help someone and you go over and above for a difficult transaction that a lot of agents will not take on, that's the key too. I had clients say, this agent won't call me back or they're not interested. And my heart feels no matter what, everybody has a reason to buy or sell and
Yeah.
give them that opportunity. So it was more about helping them out. And it did become more list side after the first couple years because it started repeat clients. And there's one family just from one transaction, difficult transaction. I've done 11 total for them,
Wow.
and it's huge. Just take care of people, and no
Yeah.
matter what their worth is.
Lifetime value of a client is so important, and if you
Hmm.
just
Oh
look at
yeah,
one singular transaction, you're missing a ton of potential opportunities in the
opportunity.
future, for
Yes, you
sure.
are.
Especially
Yep.
if this is a career choice for you, right? Like if real estate's a hobby, you're doing it, you're selling 2, 3 homes a year, part-time, working another career. But if you're full time and a true profession, you can't just look at a singular transaction because you don't know who that
Right.
person knows. You don't know what may happen in 5 years from now,
Yep.
and they decide to start referring you business. You just never know. So just look at one opportunity as a potential to create 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different other
Yes.
transactions from that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Heather,
all about relationships. So
yeah, 100%. I want to kind of transition and look future into the business and where you kind of want to go,
yes.
with your real estate team and business. Obviously, you mentioned you're now an auctioneer, and that's gonna be part of this process. But what's something that you're looking to accomplish here in the next 12 months?
So I'm really excited about the auction, the auction part of it. I want to be able to help other agents by subcontracting with them. I subcontracted two auctioneers out of our office in Heath, and I'm just like, I could probably do this. So I tried it. Um, Subcontracting with agents, it builds a rapport. It gives them more opportunity to offer to their clients. The nice thing about auctions is the house is always sold whereas it's not contingent upon inspections or financing or anything. There's a 10% buyer premium, and the buyer pays that. The buyer pays your commission, so your client isn't really out anything, especially
Yeah.
if they're in a money crunch. Um, it I'm excited about doing fundraisers too. I just did a fundraiser for the Licking County Aging Program, and they had art that their dementia patients painted with some students from Denison, and they made some good money on it. It's really neat to see how that mind works after you kind of lose it.
Yeah.
When you lose your memory. And yeah, so it was a lot of abstract, but the next 12 months I want to focus on the auction, and I will pass a lot of the new clients to my agents. I have some amazing agents on my team.
What's
So
a 5-year goal for you?
so I have three grand littles, is what I call them, and I spend a lot of time with them. And both my children travel a lot, so I kind of want to travel. I've been traveling with them and saying, "Oh yeah, I'll babysit." So I want to do that more. Help raise the grand littles because I'm just obsessed with them.
What do you think that you would have to put, in the business in order to free up more time for you to do that?
Well, to be honest, I have a hard time delegating and I have a hard time letting go, even though I know it's okay.
Yeah.
And I've gotten so much better in the last 6, 7 years, but, if there's gonna be a mistake and I want it to be my mistake.
Yeah.
And so I want to start delegating more out and, just see where this auction, the auction opportunity will will give us a chance to travel. It's interesting because I'll be able to auction houses if a realtor in Michigan says, "Hey, I want to co-op with you, subcontract with you." You don't have to have a real estate license in Michigan to sell a
Mm,
house. So, I just kind of want to do it. I don't want to say globally, but
yeah, yeah.
nationally.
I
Do it
I think
nationally.
that I think the delegation is the one of the hardest things for real estate agents to do.
It is.
Mainly because we're so tied into a transaction. We don't get paid unless it actually gets to closing. So
Correct.
we grasp this thing, like it's our baby, and we're afraid
Yes.
to give it up. But I always tell agents all the time, like we can still do all of the right things and still get the wrong results because there's a lot of things outside of our
Oh,
our control.
yes.
But with the delegation piece, and I learned this early on, just with my team lead and mentor, and then obviously seeing how we built our team, and then him stepping out and giving up the delegation, that you know I don't have fear in that anymore because it's me training that agent, right?
Yes.
So like if
Agree.
there is a mistake, or if they did do something wrong, it's not their fault, it's my fault, right? It still falls back to me
Right.
and my training. Hey, what did I miss? Maybe I didn't explain
Yes.
something right, or maybe we didn't go over it enough or practice enough, or whatever the case may be. So to me, that helps me at peace with some of that, is because it still is me, right? Like I'm the one
Yes.
teaching them. And if they're 80% of me, then that's good, right? They don't have
Correct.
to be 100% me. They're never going to be you.
Yep.
um, but that's going to be the thing that allows a lot of agents to really scale, not even just freedom, scale their business, grow their business, take
Yes.
take it to
Yes.
that next
You
level.
have to be in control of your business, or if not, it will control you. That's
Yeah,
why time blocking is so important, and dates and vacations, LFTs.
yeah. Heather, what's the legacy goal for you?
Oh gosh. Now, you weren't telling me I was going to answer something like that. I really, I hope my grandchildren look at this as an opportunity because, with my grandparents, I helped them in their business. I was there on Sundays. I was cutting celery. I was peeling potatoes at age 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's a business where I can leave something to my grandchildren, whether it be how to have relationships or, not to be in the real estate or auction business, but just on how to have relationships. So,
I love that. Last question for you. If you could give
yes.
our audience one piece of advice that maybe you received, maybe that you wish you received, or just one that you give to agents if they ask you, what would that be?
So, I kind of mentioned there's two things. There's something I mentioned earlier. So, Saint Monica said, always be kind and not nice, because nice is on the surface, kindness comes from the heart. And give it time. It takes about 2 to 3 years to grow your business. So that first year can be frustrating, especially when you see other agents getting business. You've got to ask for it to get it started, but give it 2 to 3 years before you can see a steady income, and not be afraid.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. I mean, it's so spot on. This is
yeah.
not, I know social media shows the glitz and the glamour of real
Oh,
estate, and you make a
if
really
they
good
knew
living.
what we if they knew what we had to do behind the scenes, it would be like,
Yeah,
"Are
I
you
mean,
crazy?"
look, you can make a really good living doing, what we do in real estate.
Mhm.
And I always ask agents, are you in it for 1 year, or are you in it for a career? Because that's two different mindsets and
Oh, yes.
mentality. And
It
if
is.
you're looking for the fast cash, this is not the industry for it. So, but Heather, thanks so much today. I
Thank
really
you,
enjoyed our
John.
conversation, and really getting to learn a little bit more about your story and your journey. Those that are watching, if you're a buyer, seller, investor, if you're a real estate agent and you just want to, connect with Heather to talk about real estate, her phone number is down below. Feel free to text her. Heather, for those that are maybe listening on the audio version of this, what is the best way for someone to connect with you?
Text or email. So text would be my phone number, 740-975-4135. And my email is heather at thestaselgroup.com.
Heather, thanks so much. Really enjoyed this. And if I could do anything for you in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jon.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.